Thank you for joining us on our Family First Life Tri-State Serve the People podcast. We appreciate you tuning in, spending your time to develop and grow with us. Follow us, please, on all our social media platforms at Family First Life Tri-State or FFL Tri-State. We love you. Keep listening, and I hope this information is serving you across the country. All right, everybody, thank you for jumping on with us for our Family First Life Tri-State Training Day podcast. I got my good buddy back in the booth with me, Jordan Lowery, the Savage. Just a man of encouragement to so many. I mean, I got a good chance, Jordan, to hang with you the last couple of days at some of these meetings. And, bro, your energy is contagious. And you're always rooting for people. You're always adapting and changing and shifting and making new things happen and finding new ways to think. Like, it's just impressive because you're at the forefront of a group that's exploding, that's just killing it, and you're still looking for ways to grow and adapt. And I just wanted to get you on here because it was definitely an encouraging part of my week, and I wanted to get you on here to talk about that. But before I do that, how you doing, my man?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, dude. Another day is another opportunity, as my boy Josh Battles says. Hey, someone didn't open their eyes today, and we did, and so another day is another opportunity. No
doubt, I feel that. But I've noticed, you you came up to me, a couple days ago and said, "Hey, man, I'm getting after it. I'm traveling. I'm getting on the road. Like, I'd love to know." First off, how many families did you guys help in the month of March?
Just north of 4,000.
And that's your best month, correct?
Yes, sir. Best month.
So best month ever, and adapting and changing. So I want to just drop that off in your lap and tell me what your thought process is these days.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you so much. And I think that if you're not trying to stay a student of the game, I know that you always stay hungry. I know that everyone that's ever achieved success stays hungry. And especially the people that I study, which are typically professional athletes. Like I love to look at Tiger Woods, because I love golf, but I also love to look at Jordan and Kobe. Mm-hmm. And I love to look at Sean Mike. Mm-hmm. and Andrew and people like that. So I think if I've been doing this for 40 months and I think of how fast that this business can change, like from leads to mailers to internet leads. And
no doubt.
Man, if you're not willing to adapt, then I know that everything could change tomorrow, but I'm still going to put 100% into my effort tomorrow, whatever that is. And I'm not confused about that, right? So I think just coming in that the goal might be the same, but things are going to change every single day and every week. And when you're at VP or sales manager, you're going to have different problems than when you're at council member. And so you have to adapt. You have to adapt. You have to stay hungry. And I think the key to the travel is building a real relationship with people, Mark. I have been a YouTube studier, I'm an addictive personality. I am addicted to anything I do because I want to be great at it. I don't want to be mediocre, So building a real relationship with people that are not in your group or are in your group, that's the most fulfilling thing for Jordan Lowery, because I get to learn more. I get to people get to feel my heart, when I'm out recruiting them, when I'm in person versus just over a quick phone call. And then I can ask tougher questions. My business at 4,000 families a month, none of us are perfect. I still struggle to get better every day. And so me being able to be vulnerable in person is a lot easier than when I'm just at my house or I'm not getting uncomfortable, learning from people that I want to learn from.
Yeah, no doubt. We were talking, and I taken away from you again. I'm out there to getting better myself. Makes sense. I realize the road is how you get better. You know what I mean? You get to hear from so many different people. Everyone's evolving. Everyone's growing. They're bringing in new techniques into their business. They're sharing it. And, if I'm not out on the road, I don't hear that stuff. Right. But if I am, I do. And I get to meet with people one-on-one, shake their hands, talk to them, find out what's different, what's happening, how everything's going. And it's just, watching you do it, right, and seeing how intentional you are about it was encouraging to me. I mean, it was definitely inspirational. And, you have this burgeoning team. What are some things that you're working on right now inside your group?
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're not happy with your results, it always comes back to personally sponsoring and personally enrolling. So that's what Jordan Lowery is working on, is personally enrolling and personally sponsoring and building 2 new direct 150 legs. But what I'm doing to do that is, I'm being intentional. When you say intentional, what I think is when people aren't out on the road and when I'm not out on the road, I'm thinking in the right now, because traveling out on the road is not building the right now. It's building the 60 days, the 90 days. And so it's building the territories. It's like going to war and placing the battleships in the harbors that you're going to swim in and drop guys in. And so that's the way I look at the road now, is like, I'm not going on the road because of what we have on the road. I'm going on the road in April and May for what's going to be on the road in September and October.
Strong.
And so what I can create now, and I that's never been more clear for me. Like, I'm telling you guys, all of you that are listening to this, that it took me 2.5, 3 years to notice that, to realize that, to be intentional about it. But you're not on the road for what's there. You're on the road for what you're creating in the future. And you all need to create your own story. That's it. When you go on the road, you create your story. You talk about it, you be about it. That's it.
How did you get there? I mean, because we're all working on stuff. And sometimes, my journeys took sometimes 3-4 years to get an aha moment. How did you get there? For someone listening that's maybe trying to crack their own code, how'd you get there?
Well, I have incredible partners that I work with, that I've recruited, right, that I've learned from. But also Grady, my direct sponsor. Grady's developed me so much as a man. Sean's developed me so much as a man. And what I mean by that is, when you develop the people that you actually hire, like, I can say that if I developed Gage Peart 1% as a man, then that probably helped his business, right? And so I know that as Grady helped me and grew me, if I'm growing, I'm not going to give up and quit on Grady so quickly. If I'm growing personally and professionally. So I've done I've had to do a lot of personal growth. I've had to intentionally grow. Like, if someone's growing, they're not going to give up on you or themselves so quick. Right. And that comes from having a real relationship with people and doing things like he did for me that he didn't have to, right? But, giving me brochures, right? Taking me to events, buying me dinners, taking me out. And I think everyone wants to be discovered when they start this business. We all want to be discovered, but the great ones want to be developed.
That's strong. Well, you have the opportunity to watch some real great ones. I mean, we just saw, Hayden and Nina's integrity deal get announced, and just an impressive young couple, grit, work ethic, just machinery. And they're innovating, dude. They're innovating. And I give them a lot of credit for that. But obviously, you've worked with them directly, and, they're the kind of people you hire and get out the way, right? Like, you don't have to do much. We're all looking for more of those. But watching them get their partnership, watching them do what they're doing, what does that feel like for you? It's got to be amazing.
I mean, just pure joy. I mean, tears. Hayden is someone that and Nina as well, but Hayden is someone that I looked up to for a very long time, like listened to his training in my ear when I would be sleeping. Like, I looked up to him, right? So when you hire someone like that, you don't have to do anything but work as hard as them and get out of the way. Hey, what can I do more for you? And then study them, right? Their social media, the conversations they have, the schedule they run. Nina was the first one that taught me how to get leads and then give them off to your team, because, you might have one area, and Zach Twardowski says this a lot too, but Nina was like, you might have one area lead flow wise, like you might be being able to help 50 families yourself. But if you turn that over to agents that you work with, you might have 3 agents who help 30 families each or 40 families each. Makes sense. Now that's not just 50 families for yourself, but that's 100 families or 120 families for your group. But guess what? You helped them get paid.
Strong.
You gave up something that was yours for something for them to have more of.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you recruited them, but you, like you said, you're working as hard. You're trying to keep up with them. They're trying to keep up with you. It's the perfect partnership when you talk about leveling up. I mean, like, I see that a lot with, Ivan and Joe Basso and some of these guys, and I mean, it's pretty awesome when you have that, and you realize, like, all right, well, my real job here, you know what I mean? Brian Mennel, just get out the way. You know what I'm saying? Get out of the way. These guys they're machine-like in their own way. And I think a lot of times, Jordan, number one, we're always looking for partners like this. But a lot of times, some people who may be listening or have struggled with this, I've struggled with this in the past, wanting to not get out of the way, wanting to kind of, not be in the way, but be along the way. And, can you speak to that? Because you've obviously, this thing is flourishing. So can you speak to that of like, what are the pitfalls of that? And if someone was trying to learn from that, like what you did with Hayden and Nina, with just, obviously letting them pour into you as you poured into them and getting out of the way. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
I think some of the best things and conversations I had was asking them for advice and, hey, what should I do to get better? What can I do to be a better recruiter? How could I support you more? Or, how could I support you more? Or if there's anything you need, please be direct with me and let me know, and having that conversation up front. And then letting them know that resources that I'm going to be able to put behind them, which is, my time, money, leads, and traveling when they ask me to, not because I want to reach in and be a part of it or take over, but when they ask you to. And I think the easiest thing to do is, if you look at yourself, and like I said, it's back to personally sponsoring and recruiting yourself, right? If you go, what have I brought on in the last, let's say 90 days? So just a quarter of the year. What have I brought on, and what have we sold outside of my personal production? See, I hear people go, well, we did 155 families last month, or we did 190 families last month, but I did 70 of them. I go, okay, well, you got to take that out. You did 110 or 120 families, right? And if you can help 3 people or 4 people just do 100 families outside of yourself, that's going to get you to 500 families a month.
Right.
You know how to get to 100. So just help 4 people get to 100. Quit overcomplicating it, and say, what if out of the last 90 days, how many families the last 90 days knew? Because it's easy to say what I did for 4 years ago or 9 years ago or 3 years ago.
Right.
But in business, just like in every business, right? The Cowboys, the NFL, the real estate business, the insurance business,
right.
No one cares what you did last year. No one cares.
It's true, man. It's so true. And when you bring these other companies in from outside industries, it makes it very, very clear. You're right. Nobody cares. And it's like nobody cares, work harder. But, again, just the evaluation that you're doing, on the self-evaluation, these are hard skills to learn, right? I mean, like, this is not easy stuff. Like looking in the mirror, kind of reevaluating, evaluating, and just looking to make changes. These are not easy things to learn. This is a great self-reflection podcast, because at the end of the day, dude, the amount of self-reflection that I've had to do to be better, to get out of the way, to be less of the problem, more of a solution, to you know what I'm saying, like to course correct, is a lot. But I know that the people that are always doing that are always going to grow, and they're always going to be changing people's lives, So the direct hires, the direct sponsors that you're talking about, it's like new blood is how we feel revitalized. It's how we feel. That's why the road's so important. I see all these new faces. Dude, in these last 2 cities that we were in together, I saw so many new faces. People that I needed to see, people that I should have seen already. I saw a lot of new faces in groups inside my group, and even people that aren't in my group. Those conversations are like life-giving. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you're seeing yourself, looking to, we talked about this the other day, talking about, staying in pocket with what works, right? And being convicted with what works, even though business is evolving, even though business is changing, and maybe taking some bits and pieces. If you could educate a little bit on that, like staying in pocket with what works, or what is your DNA, but taking pieces of an evolving business model to add to your deal.
Yeah, I think it's very natural for people in business and in self-employment, and that is to always want to chase the shiny coin syndrome, right? Or this or that, or what's new. And you have to realize that there's never going to be just one thing. There's never going to be just one thing that does it all. It doesn't exist, right? And if it does, it's for one day or 1 hour or one call. There's never going to be so what I struggle, and what I ask you is that, what I know works is personally enrolling and going and teaching someone how to book appointments and sell insurance, right? And so, and when someone comes up with a new way to sell mortgage protection, or a new way to get leads, or I'm always careful I see agencies shift 50% or 75% or 80% of their budget and their time and their energy and their promotion, and they forget what got them to this distribution already. But because they're chasing the shiny coin, because they feel like they should be so much further ahead, because dude, you have to find joy in church the other day, and this is something I've been working on in myself, but the pastor said you have to find joy and rejoice in the valleys, because that's what God did. Like when he was being crucified on the cross, like he wasn't like, oh, like could he have gotten down? Like he was like, no, like, and the same thing with Peter in Philippines. It's like this. It's like you have to rejoice when it's bad and when it's good. If you just rejoice when it's good, then entrepreneurship in this business isn't for you, because there is going to be valleys. You're going to think you should be further ahead, because that's what it is as human nature. But 20 months, 10 months, like we have to have perspective, right? And so what I know works and what I'm convicted in is personally enrolling, getting on the road, teaching them how to fill a schedule, and showing up to work from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. minimally. And that's with maybe an hour break somewhere in between. So a 12-hour day. That's like, I used to do, like when I got my DUI, Mark, I got a DUI, couldn't drive, had no license. I would work construction 4 days a week, 13 hours. My paycheck at the end of it was like $900 for like overtime, $900. And we're telling people my hands were bleeding. I was under houses sucking in dirt, and I didn't have a car. And I was upside down in money, right? And so when we tell people that they have $2,000 in their account and they have a $1,000 chargeback, and now they don't want to buy leads, what they're saying is they don't want to work. They think they should be further ahead, or they shouldn't have to do that. Correct. So what I know works is getting out on the road, showing them how to book an appointment, how to run an appointment. That's it. That's what I know works. And, events, like you shouldn't be at every event, but at every event, if they're like every 30 days, there's an event you can be at, because it will re-energize you. You don't need to be every week. You can't be every week, but if every 30 days, if you can't invest in yourself 12 times a year,
sure.
And here's why I say that. The event either needs you or you need the event. No doubt. And you don't know which one sometimes when you're going.
It's so true. That's strong. Dude, you're a recruiting machine. You've recruited a bunch of people. and have grown a scalable agency. When you think about recruiting right now, what are some things you're working on? What are some things people can take away from your style of recruiting?
So something I've adapted is instead of like just recently, this is going to be real. I hope this helps you guys. Right? Instead of spending more money on my travel, I'm stripping down my travel, but I'm bringing 2 to 3 people with me everywhere I go. So instead of spending $1,000 to $1,200, $1,300 on my travel, I'm spending $250, $270 on 4 people's travel. And because I believe you should be at every event, you should be there, but you should never be there alone. And so that's something I'm doing. Buying a person a $200 or $300 flight and $100 meal and rental car can be the change that they've been looking for their entire life. And that's actually the change that I was looking for when I was caddying as a golf caddy. Wow. And was someone to just be like, dude, you're sharp. Like, why don't you come learn from me? You know? And so I believe that every single person, you know, that you come upon should either sell insurance with you or should be an employee of yours because they have a skill, or you should so you should either sell them insurance, they should be an employee, or they should, you know, give you a referral.
I love it, dude. You're always getting better, man. And I think at the end of the day, this is what this podcast is about. It's about making change. I think that's a very innovative approach, is bringing, because here's what I know. You know, let's take the Atlanta event. Every single agent that I talked to that I spent some time with was not only encouraged that they were at the event, they basically said it was a can't miss event. That's all of our events, by the way. You know, so some people flew in. You know, I had a lady flying from Detroit. Not that she should have. We'll be in Detroit this week, but you know, but she flew in from Detroit, and it's like she came to get around the fire. And then I had, you know, agents obviously that lived in the area, but some of them were new, Jordan, and they've not been to an FFL event, and they were so. I mean, I had a couple that came that we had just hired probably 4 days before that, right? And they thought it was going to be like a rah-rah. Matter of fact, the husband said, look, by noon, we're out. Like, this is just, you know, meetings we've been to in the past. Let's show up in the morning. Let's get out. I can't do that rah-rah. They stayed the entire event and said, I'm so glad we came. So if you've got agents you're investing seeds into, right? Of course, that's so awesome because you get to talk to them the whole day. You get to pour into them. They get to tell you their revelations, their thoughts, what they got out of the event. And everyone's growing together. I would be willing to bet the people that are on the road with you will be the fastest growing people on your team. That's what I'm taking from what you're saying. So I think that's a golden nugget. You know, when you think about them coming on the road with you, what do you see?
I see 2 things, right? I see, first thing I see is multiplication, that I know that if they see me doing it, that they're naturally going to do it in their business and for the rest of their life. And then the second thing that I see and that I want them to see is if they're willing to put in that kind of day. Are they easy to be around for 13? Because it's easy to fake it for an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours, right? Mm-hmm. But it's hard to fake it for 13, 14, 15 hours. And I can really get to know them. I can really, I can show them that I'm not just like, you know, it's like Zach Twardowski, like when he would say, you know, agents, are they sitting there watching Netflix between appointments or are they dialing the extra 100 dials? Mm. And I want them to know that I've got their back, that they're in good hands, that it's not just them. But I know that if I do it, that they'll do it. And if they do it, it'll be great for their agency and they'll impact so many more families. Because we can't do 100,000 families or 300,000 families or 500,000 families in a year with just a few people doing it, right? It has to be, this is who we are. we bring people with us.
That's strong. Again, Jordan Lowery, the relationship maker. My man, I appreciate you taking time out. And I mean, to your credit, I asked you and you said, yeah, what time? What, and I just appreciate you so much for what you've done, what you're doing, and what you continue to do. Thank you so much for jumping on with us.
Thank you for having me, Mark, man. See you at the top.
God bless everybody. Keep hammering. Thank you so much. Peace, Jordan.